What's up guys, it's the Ninja Engineer here. I'm back today with a bit of a belated follow-up to an old video of mine. If you didn't know, recently I went on my own aerospace engineering job hunt, wound up going through the interview processes of a couple companies and ultimately found one that I really enjoyed, took the position, moved out to start this new job, and I really love this so far. And so I really wanted to document a few of the key lessons I learned from my own process of going on an aerospace engineering job hunt that hopefully can help you guys. So this is not going to be a generic roadmap of, oh, in your resume, get an internship. There's a million videos like that on the internet. I just want to talk about some of the things I learned that hopefully can be beneficial to you if you are in a similar position to me. I'm the Unhinged Engineer. I'm a young aerospace engineer trying to navigate the crazy world of STEM degrees, careers, whatever you want to call it. We're learning as we go, and if that's something you're interested in, definitely like, comment, subscribe to the channel. In addition to that, I'm also vlogging my grad school journey. I'm getting a master's degree in computer science at night through Georgia Tech, and if you're interested in that, like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. So, shameless plugs over. Let's get right into 3 of the biggest things I learned from going through my own aerospace engineering job hunt in 2025. Lesson number 1, apply even if you don't qualify. So, one thing that was kind of startling to me getting back into the job market was just how demanding a lot of these job recs are. So usually they'll demand some amount of years of experience, some kind of advanced degree, especially for a lot of the cooler positions I was interested in. Experience with different individual tools. What's the likelihood that you're able to get exactly all of the tools that they're looking for on any given job rec? Probably pretty low if they're asking for 8 of them each. So it was startling to me to see just how much these companies were looking for. I think a dirty little secret, not just in aerospace engineering, but kind of in STEM as a whole, is that a lot of these job recs are very, very overinflated. Now there's lots of different reasons for that are kind of outside the scope of this video, but just to name a couple. For one, sometimes they're trying to fill multiple levels. Maybe they're looking for software engineer 1 and 2, and they don't really make clear in the application which one you're applying to. And so you just see a software engineer and you see a lot of different qualifications. Okay, if there's a range, is there a range that defines software engineer 1 versus 2? Are there entirely different ranges or no overlap? In a lot of these different applications and different sites that are organized in different ways, it's kind of unclear which level you're applying for and whether or not there's multiple. Another big one is setting really high standards tends to provide some kind of legal protection for companies. Again, kind of getting out of my depth here, I'm not an HR person, but the more qualifications that you could say that someone doesn't meet, the more reasonable justifications for not hiring someone that you have. Obviously, there's legal protections associated with that. The other one, which is kind of the nastiest one, is that the market's just super saturated. We all know this. There's a lot of candidates. A lot of people were like, hey, engineering makes a ton of money. I should go study that, myself included. And so as a result, there's more candidates than there are jobs in a lot of specific niches, and so they jack up the quote-unquote price of any given job. All of this to say, these things are a little bit inflated. So if you actually go and remotely fit some of the qualifications, like maybe you don't have a master's, but you have a bachelor's in the same thing that they're looking for, or you're on the lower end of whatever experience interval that they're looking for, or you have some of the tools that they're looking for, chances are for a lot of them, you will get a second look, hopefully. The idea is we cast a wide net, hopefully we catch something. And just for me, I know the position I was looking for, I think it said 3 to 5 years of experience, and it said a master's degree. And I have 2 years of experience, and at the time I had taken 1 class of my master's degree. So I was in the middle of it. I don't graduate for a couple more years. And then I had some of the tools they're looking for. Now for other reasons, I like to think I was a good candidate. Clearly I was if I got the job, and we'll talk about those in the next couple bullets. But all this is to say, if I had not applied because I saw 3 to 5 years of experience to complete a master's degree, and I had 2 years of experience and no master's degree, then I wouldn't have this job, and I wouldn't be doing this awesome stuff that I'm super, super stoked about. So I know it's cliche, but you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Throughout the application, the worst they can say is no. Obviously, don't spam these companies. Don't apply to be the CTO if you're a freshman in college. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is recognize that for several reasons HR people know, and I don't, a lot of these job recs are a bit inflated. And there's still a decent chance that if you put enough of them out there, some of them will hit, just based on law of large numbers. Okay, second point here is kind of a strategy I stumbled upon accidentally, and should I in the future be looking for a new job, I definitely will use again. And that strategy is to look at companies first and jobs second. So what do I mean by this? Well, the reason I wound up doing this from the beginning is I actually was looking to relocate to a new area. And so I went online and I looked up like aerospace companies in the area that I was looking for. And I found a bunch of companies. Obviously, each company has some kind of careers tab on their website. And then I found a bunch of jobs. There's a few reasons I think this is preferable to just searching for aerospace jobs. The first one is that it makes it easier to keep track of where you've applied. Because now you've got this data associativity going on. You remember, at this company, I applied to jobs A, B, C, D. In this company, I applied to E, F, and G. You can track all of these jobs that you've applied to back to certain companies. And again, when you get an email from a certain company and you see what position it was for, then you can trace it back and see the other ones that you might still be in consideration for. So just from like a data perspective, it is a bit easier to keep track of everything if you're going by company versus job. Another one is a lot of times people will send out blasts of applications. I'm not advising against, definitely blast out a lot of applications. They will send out a lot of them and lose track of which companies did which thing, especially some of these companies are like startups, smaller ones, they're a little bit less known. It's easy to forget like which one does which thing, is located in which place, which job that you apply to. And so you don't have to do any research. If you do all the research up front, and say, okay, this company is one that I'm pretty interested in, I should go apply. And then you send in all the applications. And again, because it's easy to remember what you did, you have that context going in the interview. You don't need to refresh yourself over and over and over again. And maybe you will if you go in multiple rounds, but at least on the first look, in terms of funneling down to the jobs you really care about, you carry that context with you. The biggest reason I recommend this is just, it's a good way to see jobs that you wouldn't have previously applied for or even knew existed. I know for a fact the job title I have right now, I did not know that it existed. Granted, it's pretty specific and it's a subset of something that's a little bit more well-known and I did know existed. You're able to see positions and get exposed to different types of roles, different types of tools. You just get exposed to a lot more and can have a better grasp not only of the context of the company, but also just of recruiting and the aerospace career writ large. You see a lot more quickly. Versus if I just went to LinkedIn jobs and just typed aerospace engineer, and then scroll, all of those are pre-curated for you and you get none of that experience. Again, I know we're trying to go for volume here. Obviously, time's a luxury. But I really do believe that going by company first, job second, in the long run, is a lot faster because I did one hardcore night of apply to a couple dozen companies and I was good to go. I was ready to rock for all the interviews I got based on this principle here. So the last tip here is more about once we actually get through the interview. And it's a bit of a general one. It's really important to know your positioning coming into the conversation. Now, I've said in previous videos that an interview is kind of like a sales call. You're going to someone who's looking for a product or service. You could call yourself either one of those, a product or a service as an engineer. And so you're trying to sell yourself, hey, whatever problem you're trying to solve with this job posting, I'm your guy. I can fix it for you. Go into that sales pitch understanding the context of the conversation. Just to name a few really important points. What is your career stage? I know for me, I look pretty young. I am pretty fresh out of school. I'm definitely an early career person. Number two, what are your areas of expertise? And again, I'm talking not just general stuff. Oh, I study aerospace engineering. Yeah, great. But within aerospace engineering, another thing I've talked about on this channel at length is there's lots and lots of different areas of expertise. They interact with each other in different ways. And so understanding like where within the larger systems engineering methodology that likely in some way your company is going to be using, where do you fit into that puzzle? Understanding that is super, super important. Especially all of these as they relate obviously to the job posting itself. And then the last one is your current employment. Understand who has more leverage. Do you have a lot of leverage where you're in a good cushy position, you're making a lot of money, you're doing exactly what you want to do, and there's no real impetus for you to change, so you can be more choosy? Or does the company have more leverage where they have this very prestigious position and they're willing to sit on their hands and wait for the perfect candidate? On the other side of that coin for each party, are you struggling right now, really looking hardcore for a job, or school's ending, or you're in between jobs right now? What if they just did a big VC raise and they have tons of work to do and they don't have enough people to do it? Suddenly, they're hiring anybody with a pulse and you have more leverage because they're so desperate for talent. Recognizing what stage of your career are you in and what kinds of positions are you talking about? What areas of expertise do you specifically have to offer to the employer? And then who has more or less leverage kind of going into the conversation is really, really helpful in the beginning for the interview process, and especially towards the end for salary negotiation stuff, if we get that far. And just to kind of illustrate where within my story this factored in, for the reasons I talked about earlier, I knew that I was probably younger and more inexperienced than what my now superiors had in mind when they were hiring. I didn't meet the qualifications, I didn't have a million different job titles and stuff like that. And especially as I'm seeing more and more people get hired, I know this company's hiring lots of senior people from the beginning. Like, I was not trying to, misrepresent myself. I was like, look, I'm a young kid, I'm learning things quickly, and I will kick some ass for you. That was the branding that I came into the conversation with. And it was much better than sitting there and kind of getting imposter syndrome, like, oh, sure, I'm a senior person, I have experience with all these things, and trying to sell something that isn't really true. So again, for me, I'm gonna brand myself as a firecracker and come into this position with a lot of energy and a lot of passion and an ability to learn things really, really quickly. That's kind of my selling point as an early stage person with not that many areas of expertise, but thankfully a couple that were incredibly relevant, and someone who, while was in a good position at the time, I also was looking to punch above my weight class and really get something kick-ass, which ultimately became the job that I have now. So yeah, know your position going into those interviews. Okay, so what are the 3 things we talked about today? Number 1, apply even if you don't qualify. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. A lot of these job applications or job requisitions are a bit inflated, etc., etc. Number 2, companies first, jobs second. When we search by company instead of position, we get more context going into the interview. We are able to understand when you search for jobs by companies first and then jobs second, it's easy to keep track of what positions you apply to at what companies. You have that context kind of cached in memory, ready to rock for any one of multiple interviews you might have at a single company or multiple companies. And most importantly, you get exposure to job requisitions and people and different tools that could be useful to you in interviews for certain positions that you wouldn't have seen if you were just searching for those positions directly. And the third one, just know your positioning, understanding the types of leverage that you might be coming into the negotiation with. And then of course, probably more importantly than that, I would say, is understanding what unique value proposition you have so you can play to that value prop and maybe play against some of the weaknesses you might have in your application for a position. Those are the 3 big lessons that I think I got from my experience searching for an aerospace engineering job in 2025. Again, I've documented that experience. Please watch it if you just want more of a narrative form of what that was like for me. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope this helped you with any job search you might be going on. Like I said in the beginning, I'm the Unhinged Engineer. I make professional development content for young engineering professionals like myself. If that's something you're interested in my GT OMSCS vlog, please like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.